Finding your life partner is the most important decision you can make, and for that, you have to date. But dating is so hard these days, especially in your 20s. So I wonder, was it always this complicated, or did we just make it out that way? Between ghosting to situationship and endless swipe culture, dating in your 20s these days feels like a full-time job but without the paycheck. And I personally really enjoyed dating in my 20s, that I feel like I made the most out of it. So here's how to avoid the pitfalls of dating in your 20s these days. Okay, let's first talk about ghosting. One day you're texting non-stop, laughing at memes, planning dates, and the next they vanish. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. Like they moved into a different dimension, got abducted by aliens. They just decided to never speak to you again. And somehow that's normal now, not giving an explanation to people. But let me tell you how to avoid this. Now, you would have heard about attachment styles, avoidant and anxious, and when you have this problem and when ghosting happens to you, your anxious attachment gets activated, and it's easy to think it's really personal, but to be honest, it's a good indication that it's not meant to be. Why would you want to be with someone that doesn't care enough to have a conversation with you? And that's not to say they're a bad person, maybe they're just too uncomfortable to communicate that, but you should understand your worth is more than someone that can't even have a conversation up front with you. I've made a video about how to master detachment as an anxious person, and I have identified with that for most of my life, but when I understood what detachment actually means, it doesn't mean you don't care about people. It doesn't mean you always take advantage of people and you're just this carefree person going through life. It's more connected to solidifying your self-esteem and not putting other people on a pedestal. So I really recommend watching that video, because detachment has been such a revelation in my life, and why ghosting was never offensive to me. I'm actually guilty of doing that a couple of times to other people, and to be honest, it's nothing personal. So go watch that if you want more insight about how to avoid getting destroyed by ghosting. Next, let's talk about situationships, or it's complicated relationships. It's like dating, but not really. You're more than friends, but you're not officially together. Sound familiar? It's all the emotional confusion, and it's normal to have that at the start of the relationship, but if most of your relationship with that person is basically just a situation and not actually an established relationship, there are commitment issues going on, there's a lack of interest going on, and a lack of respect. But it's modern romance. People even glorify it. You ask, what are we? And they say, I mean, they're vibing. And what does that even mean? And sometimes you are just taking your time to get to know a person. But if it gets to a point where you feel disrespected and undervalued, it's really to do with your lack mindset, that you think you're not good enough, or there's not enough people out there, or you don't know how to create that abundance mindset. I've made a video about how to attract abundance as well, so go have a look there. And this is not really to attack anyone, but these are some learnings I learned myself to avoid these pitfalls of relationships and really succeed in dating in my 20s. It's actually more efficient when you know about these self-esteem tips and tricks. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, just have more hobbies and just enjoy your life. No, it's more to do with how you perceive the world. The world should not be limited to some people or situations in your life. You are more than that, and you deserve more than that. And to be honest, we all know that deep down, but it's really about activating that inner confidence that really takes work, and avoid you falling into this pitfall of a situationship. I've also made a video about why heartbreak is your power, and how I was empowered from a lot of heartbreak in my life. So go watch that if you want some inspiration as well and some motivation. Now let's talk about the paradox of choice these days. With dating apps, we've got hundreds of matches that we can go through, literally at our fingertips. But instead of making it easier, it makes us pickier. It's a fact, humans do worse with choice. Too short, too tall, too many gym selfies, next. It's like window shopping for people, and that's where it goes wrong. No one's committing because there's always someone better, and I think that's why people fall into situationships as well, and ghosting. But spoiler alert, there isn't. Relationships, as much as they're fun, they're also a lot of work, and especially if you haven't been in one for a long time, it can be hard to grasp the concept of compromise and meeting someone in the middle and being with someone that's actually good for you despite all that. So if you feel in yourself someone is good for you, they are worth all those compromises and meeting in the middle. But knowing exactly what you want is really important to not get swayed by choice. Write down what's really important to you for your growth and your nourishment. Look at your personal relationships with friends, your family, and what makes those relationships really fruitful for you to be in them and grow as a person and become better. If you identified in the relationships that you already have and just apply that to your dating, it would be much easier. Compare those people, your personal relationships, and the person you're dating, not the person you're dating with the other person you're dating. Now, another common pitfall is stalking when you're dating. One Instagram story can send you spiraling. If you're dating in your 20s, who's that girl in the background? Are they dating? Just friends, cousins? And we're all going on a deep dive, going to 2017 just to see who they dated. Don't lie, we're all guilty. But it goes back to detachment mindset and knowing that the past doesn't define anyone. Being less interested in people's past and more interested in their current actions and how they show up in their life is more important. That will tell you everything. So don't go stalking, don't look at their Snapchat map. I don't even know if people do that these days, but don't try to control, because it really shows lack of trust. And it's good to know people's past if they're willing to share that with you to get a better understanding of them. But really, if you look at yourself from the past, it doesn't define you either. So knowing that could help you avoid this pitfall. Also, there are so many unspoken rules these days around dating. Don't double text, wait 3 hours to reply, don't be too eager, but also don't seem uninterested. So how do you navigate them? I mean, who even made them up? But to avoid this pitfall, you have to create a life you're proud of. Like, you have to really be in a place where you enjoy your life. You just want to bring someone in to share it with. Like, I loved my Sunday ritual of going to the markets and having a day to myself. I loved going out with my friends and treating myself to a nice meal or drinks. I loved my job. I loved everything about my life. So I was too busy actually to care about these things. And that's not to say I'm better than anyone, but if you're too involved in your own stuff and you have too much going on, you cannot be bothered to care about the rules. And that's when the rules became normal to me, because if you don't double text and you're not too eager and you reply maybe after 3-4 hours, it has nothing to do with your interest. It just has to do with your schedule. So when I was busy with all these things, I was doing those things unintentionally, which may have indicated to the other person that I am very content in my life and I'm not looking for anyone to fill it with more joy or happiness. I'm just looking for someone to share it with. And that's very attractive, even when you find that in another person. You know, I was too busy with my YouTube, with my job, with publishing my book. Oh, and by the way, I do have a self-help poetry book that I wrote about the journey of love, about falling for someone to healing and then flourishing. So if that helps you, go have a look. I have some poetries on my Amazon link, so you can get a sense of what it contains. It's really a journey that I take you on of how I fell into this self-love stage in my life and how that helped me in my dating as well. But yeah, looking back, as complicated as it is, dating in your 20s is also kind of fun when you look at it that way, because you're defining yourself, you're meeting different people, you're going to cool places, you're having fun, you're young. It's messy, it's confusing, but it's how we learn what we want and don't want. And the key thing is to take nothing personally in dating and actually having fun with it, actually having fun in your life. Some dates are terrible, some are unforgettable, and a few actually lead to something meaningful and real. So yeah, dating in your 20s is hard, but it's also an adventure. But who knows, maybe the right person is just one awkward date away, and it's always going to be awkward because you're meeting a stranger, okay? So don't be afraid of that. It's how you come out of that is what's really important. All right, back to swiping. I wish you luck. I'm posting every day on here about self-development and my life in Australia. So if you have any questions, shoot them my way, and I'll see you next time.